pieces tidied up, do go ahead and close your eyes if you want to. And we're just breathing naturally in through the nose and out through the mouth. Easy breath. Breathing, of course, is another part of Pilates fundamental practice. Okay, so getting that breathing to work not only helps us stabilize the spine, but can actually help some of our mobility as well. So actually getting into a little bit more of those moves, perhaps, than if you didn't bother. So just breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. We're trying to work on our lateral thoracic breathing. So that's breathing into this rib and lung cage area, this top section of your body. Okay, so as you breathe in, try not to breathe in by lifting the shoulders, but imagine your ribs just moving out towards the inside edge of your arm. So trying to fill the space to the left and right of you. I will put my teeth in a moment, all right? So expanding these lovely ribs around the lungs as you inhale, stretching in between the ribs to the sides of you. And as you exhale, just gently allow them to sink back around the lungs, but just also thinking about perhaps little muscle work as well. As you exhale, starting to gently draw that belly into your spine. Starting to allow those lovely waists and even indeed that lower back area just to draw in slightly as if you're shrinking away from your t-shirt or top. So that's exhaling and gently easing that belly in. Oh, well done. And adding on, of course, the pelvic floor area as you exhale. You're also thinking of zipping under the areas of wind and water. Okay. Exhaling, drawing up and under. And we've got just 3 more breaths as we bring that all in together. Grow nice and tall through the crown as you breathe in. Exhale, just gently drawing in the belly and up with the pelvic floor area. Wonderful. Breathing in for the last time. Finding your core, zipping up under the pelvis as we think of that and drawing into your center. We'll call that zipping and hollowing. Gently zip up the pelvic floor and hollow your core. And when you're ready and you've finished your last breath, open your eyes, bring yourselves back into the room. Okay, maintaining that switched on center if you can for me. We're going to do a little bit of work on balance and footwork to begin with, just to get the brain firing up messages through the whole of the body. So let's go ahead and just lift the left heel, roll right onto the toes on this left foot. Okay, feel a little bit of energy into the back of those toes, please, for me. And maybe the calf muscles firing up there, and then place the heel back down. Try and roll up and down now onto the right side. Roll up onto those toes. Maybe have a little roll from side to side. Make sure each one is aware that it's being and thought about. And then peel back down onto the right heel. One more time on the left. Peeling up onto the left. Finding all those toes. Again, rolling around if you wish. Okay, making sure they're all nicely awoken, and then onto the right hand side, peel up. Try not to send the body weight forward, just send the knee forward from the hip joint and then releasing back down. Okay, we're standing here possibly with knees straight. Just take the lock off the knee, which means just gently soften the knees, not into a deep bend, but just so they're not locked. Now we're going to work into our double heel raise. Okay, with a soft knee, you might find this a bit easier. So breathing in, I'm going to turn to the side. Exhale, just gently lift onto both sets of toes and then release back down. Again, you've just had a word to all the toes on each side. Have a think if you can get there by rolling onto the little toe and the big toe evenly. Of course, if you've got issues with your toes, then do what you feel like you can. If you'd rather continue with your singles, then you're more than welcome. If you are managing to get onto those double toes, I'd like you, or 2 feet, I'd like you to pause here this time. Pause, finding a spot out there on the horizon, find that center pelvic floor in. We're just going to now straighten those legs so you're just almost locking out that knee joint. Perhaps you feel the calf muscles firing up a little bit more as they contract as well. Grow through the crown of the head and then gently release the heels back down to the floor. We're going to do that one more time. Soften the knees, tummy is in, rolling onto your toes if you can, or you can single heel raise if you wish. From here, we're going to head up into our straight leg. Like the dart, when we're lying down on the floor, we'll imagine ourselves growing towards the sky, arms pressing down by our sides, and then release the heels back down with control if you can. Okay, so we've got a couple more pieces to do in footwork. This is an important part of Pilates practice, the footwork. We don't do it really that much, okay, so it's not massively sexy. We'll have a go and see how we get on. So we just worked on our double heel raise. Can we go ahead now with legs straight and bring ourselves into a double heel raise if we can? Now, if you're struggling, please go ahead and see if you can just hold onto a wall or a sofa or a chair. You're more than welcome to just have a light, gentle touch if you need to. Okay, that is fine. From here now, I want you to then think about the knees folding. They're going to knee fold a little bit more deeply than you did a moment ago, so slightly deeper than the just softening of the knees. Trying to control as the knees lower and the heels stay high. Then we release the heels back down with a press and come into standing, okay? If you need to modify, please go ahead and scurry off to a chair or a wall now. That's your time. Breathing in, let's go ahead and lift with the straight leg up onto our heels. We're going to do 2 more. We're going to gently now continue to hold the high heel, soften the knees, belly pulls in, so you're trying to keep yourself nice and centered, then press the heels to the floor and then lift into straight leg. One more time, breathing in, up into your double heel lift. Feeling strong and long and centered, and then softening the knees whilst maintaining the heel lift if you can. And then slowly send the heels back down and straighten the legs. So we're going to then reverse this now. Let's go ahead and knee float down towards the toes. So first port of call, knees softening. Tummy is in. Gently lifting those heels now into your double heels. From here, we then send ourselves up into straight leg and release the heels back down. Bend the knee first, tummy in, again, hold the wall if you need to, double heel raise. From here, we then lift from the top of the head into straight leg and release the heels down. For our last time, knees soften and lifting onto the toes with the knees bent. Up we go into standing and release that down. Well done. Okay, wonderful. Okay, we're going to bring ourselves into just sitting. So just over into a cross leg position. If you struggle with cross legs, okay, you can just pop your legs out straight, okay, or together, wherever's comfortable really, because this is the section I'm looking at, this section between the pelvis and our shoulder girdle. Okay, so sit however's comfortable for you. And we're going to now imagine that this base and this top, okay, of your body is going to stay kind of where they are in space. And what I'm looking for is to start almost like a whirling, almost a, what's the word? A helter-skelter motion going on through the middle of your spine, okay? So imagine that the top and bottom of your spine is staying kind of still. And it's this midsection that's having a bit of a move around, a roll, a circle around. And you're just trying to find that natural bendiness of the middle of the body, okay? So thinking maybe what one of those old-fashioned screwdrivers, you might hold the top and then you'd work around the midsection, yeah? That's that same sensation of top and bottom staying still and swirling into this midsection to get some nice movement. Reversing direction now. Again, don't overthink it. Just kind of go with the flow, conscious and aware that you're working the base of the spine, right up through this thoracic spine, a bit of movement still in the rib cage, gently rolling around this midsection, finding a gentle flow of movement, and then bring yourself back into your center. Okay, from here, we're going to take ourselves into 4-point kneeling, heels of the hands under your shoulders, swiveling around so your knees are under your hips. As always, do go ahead and pop anything under your knees if you wish. Okay, so if you feel like it's uncomfortable on the kneecaps or any particular part of the knee, go ahead and bolster as required. Both knees will stay down for a bit, so you might want to grab something. Okay, first of all, thinking about the shoulder blade area. Okay, right at the beginning of week 1, we did some protraction and retraction of these arms. We're going to now think about this in terms of our shoulder blades. I'd like you now to think about from shoulder blade to shoulder blade, pressing towards the ceiling, separating the two. Your chest will lift up slightly between your arms. And I don't want you necessarily to look towards your knees or anything quite so much like the cat stretch. And I don't want you really think about either working the pelvis. This is really just the shoulder blades separating. Now we're going to bring those shoulder blades together, allowing them to come together. Then let the chest or the sternum, this chest plate, sink down towards the mat. Okay, up we go again, dividing the shoulder blades, separating the two, creating a big old space between the shoulder blades and a lovely arch across from shoulder to shoulder. Down we go with the chest plate, sinking it between the arms and shoulder joints, and then back up. As I said before, try not to be tempted to add in the pelvis. We're not there yet. We're just thinking shoulder to shoulder, shoulder blade to shoulder blade, armpit to armpit. That region there is mobilizing as we lift and lower. Straight arms if you can too, guys. Okay, this is not about getting the sink of the chest by bending the arms. Okay, we're not pushing up here yet. No, don't be too eager. Okay, and pause here. Pause into your neutral. Okay, so you're neither too deep or too lifted. Now we're taking our thoughts towards the pelvis. So ignore your upper body completely, switch that off. Isolate, if you can, your pelvic tilts. Pulling the pubic bone towards you, maybe a gentle press into the heels of the hand, and then gently push your pubic bone away from you. So we are now, again, isolating. So the space between your shoulder blades should be neutral. It should be set. It should not be squeezing together, widening or narrowing. That is set, and you are ignoring that and working on this lower spine. The lumbar spine, just tucking the tailbone under and pressing away. Neck is still neutral. Okay, we're not involving the neck, although it does tend to want to get involved, just keeping it nice and flat. Last one. And pausing there, also in neutral. Okay, go ahead now. And in your neutral shoulder position and your pelvis, lift your right heel towards your right bottom. Taking your right heel to now crossing over towards left bottom cheek. Look over your left shoulder. See if you can see those toes and feel that right side of your body just having a nice opening and stretch. Bring yourself back to center. Place the foot back down. Left heel to left buttock cheek. Switch that left heel to the right buttock cheek. Yeah, so your knees still down on the floor. That's it. But the right heel is lifted. Look over your right shoulder to those right toes. And again, it's that left side of your body having a nice stretch. And back to center one more time. Right heel lifts to right bottom cheek. Knee stays down. Right heel moves across now to the left bottom cheek. Look over your left shoulder and breathe. Come back to center and left heel to left bottom cheek. Nice and neutral in that spine still. Crossing to your right bottom cheek and look over your right shoulder. Again, find that breath. Gorgeous, well done. We are now going to go into our full cat. So I'd like you to now allow your chin and to head into your chest space. Your neck is going to now slightly extend, a flexion towards the front of you. So your chin into your throat space. Lift everything in that back towards the ceiling and press into the heels of your hands. Okay, really find that push into the heels of your hands. From here, we're going to keep pushing into the heels of the hands and pull our bottoms towards our heels into child's pose. Use that dynamic press with the heels into the hands to leave yourself over into a deep child's pose. Okay, pausing here. Okay, we haven't got too far, that's fine. This is just the start of the class, so don't worry. Pausing here and walk the hands back towards your knees. Okay, swivel your legs around or cross over your ankles and roll down into bridge. Okay, down into bridge, our heels are close up towards our bottoms, hands by our sides. Okay, let's get ourselves marching on with our bridge. Okay, shoulder blades are slightly rolled back and down. First of all, working into our mobilization of the spine, lifting the pubic bone towards your nose. Okay, so your bottom cheeks start to come off the mat. Continue to peel this lovely spine up, 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 just to the lower rib cage to begin with. Okay, so you feel all your ribs are still connected on the mat, and then release back down, slowly releasing down until you've then allowed the pubic bone to slightly tilt away from you, and a little bit of an arch, just a small arch, not too extreme, gently peeling up to the lowest ribs. Once you're there, allow yourself to just stretch your kneecaps away from your nose direction. Okay, so you feel that slight space at the front of the hip here. And then when you come back down, thinking one vertebrae, slowly lowering down onto the mat at a time, and eventually the pubic bone comes to settle, and just feeling your natural lordotic curve in the base of the spine. I'm going to head up a little bit higher this time. Okay, if you want to feel like the ribs is your best destination, then pause there. Perhaps you can head a little bit higher onto your shoulder blades. Be sure that you've got this neck nice and long still. That might mean you need to pick it up slightly and place it back down just to check. And you're looking away pretty much in line with the top of the knees at 45 degrees, okay? Now from here, step a little bit more into these arms and find the core, find the pelvic floor as well, everything pulling into the center of your body to support the lower back. Pressing into the left sole of your foot, lift your right leg into tabletop and place it back down. Keep the bottom nice and high if you can and switch sides. And down, breathe in, exhale. So we're taking it left and right, marching with the legs into tabletop and down. Aware that you've got this whole arm supporting you either side of you, switching and down. Breathing in when you're down, exhale as you lift. Okay, we've got 4 more, bottom staying nice and active, lifting those hips sky high. Last 2 and last 1. Pause with both legs down just so we regroup, because I'd like you now to everybody lift your right leg towards the ceiling. The right leg is in tabletop. Okay, this right leg is now going to come down to the floor and scoop underneath the left leg, and we're going to roll over onto that right hip and straighten your arm and your out into side lying. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we're going to be in our side bend position here. I would like you to extend your top leg towards the end of the mat. Shuffled off slightly, readjust. Okay, and then lifting now onto this lower supporting leg. Okay, and here we are into our side bend. The knee is quite a long way from under the hip at the moment. That is fine. Okay, I know ideally sometimes you're up here and it's a little bit uncomfortable for some people, so pop a little bit away under the hip. That's not a problem. First of all, taking our arm up into javelin, and we're going to just start with some arc and overhead movement. So let the arm come overhead and reach. Just have a lovely, comfortable reach, okay? Hopefully got some space between the shoulder and the ear. That's it, wonderful. And then bring the arm into javelin with a breath in and exhale over into arc. And to javelin, breathe in, lift between hand and hand, exhale into arc. And final one, breathing in. And exhale into arc. Holding the hand in javelin for me, please, here. We're going to now top leg lift and arc at the same time, okay? So we're going to go ahead and take our arm into arc and top leg lift. So you've got this lovely horizontal line from hand to toe and then touch down. We're just going to do 3 more. Over into arc, leg lift. And last 2. Well done. And our final one. Now, guys, you can pause with your leg here, or if you're feeling like it's a bit uncomfortable, just touch it down, because we're going to go into our thread the needle, okay? So if you need support, the leg can stay down. Otherwise, leg is lifted, nice and long, breathing in. We're just, all of us, going to just post this top arm underneath in a gentle rib rotation, looking to the side or back of your body if you can, and then back up into your start position, holding that leg long with the breath in. Exhale, we're just going to do 3 more. Let's say this leg can be down if you need that support. Last 2, grow nice and long. Exhale as you rotate. And final one, breathing in and exhale. And then everyone just settling that leg back down on the mat. Allow your bottom to come down onto the mat. Swivel to look at the short end or foot end of your mat and peel yourself back down for another bridge session. Okay, so hands down by your sides, reset into your bridge lying down position. Okay, so we've done a nice mobilization already of the spine. So I'd like you to go ahead and breathe in, exhale, and hinge now just up into your preferred destination of bridge, being ribs or the shoulder blades. Okay, so we're now back here again. Again, find that lovely tummy and pelvic floor core pulling in. Yes, you're nice and solid in this midsection here. Neck is long, chin slightly tucked in, but make sure you've picked up that head and it's nice and long first. Arms are down on the floor. Okay, go ahead now and press into your right foot this time and lift your left leg towards the ceiling in single leg extension, reaching that leg to the sky. Use these arms, breathing in, exhale, and switch. Now, of course, guys, you'll be aware this is another level up. If you prefer to stay in your tabletop marching legs we did a moment ago, then please do. Okay, that is not a problem. It's a key indicator if you're really if you're finding your hips sink from side to side and you're having to swivel or rock, then perhaps this is a level too high. Yeah, so perhaps that's when you go back to tabletop and focus more on keeping the hips nice and stable, please. Breathing in, extend, and last one. And then everyone place the feet back down. We're going to take the left leg to the sky this time. Okay, so now we're going to post the left leg under the right leg and just slowly let your bottom sink down, roll over to the other side, and you're going to be doing your side bend work on the other side, okay? I'm just going to show you, obviously you'll see my back at the moment. For the moment, the setup, you've got your hand long if you can. We are practicing to have this long arm straight if we can in this particular piece this morning, and you're coming up and you're into this position here. So you're on the other side. I'm just now going to swivel around so I can see you. Okay, so you should be on your other side with the arm elevated. Leg is down to begin with. Let's go into our arc. Okay, so we're going to just take a lovely breath in and exhale as you reach and open that top side of the body to the sky. Breathe in, reach from hand to hand, and exhale into arc. We've just got 2 more. Breathing in, grow tall, make space in the spine and over, and final one. Breathing in and exhale into arc, pausing with the arm in javelin here for me if you can. Nice space between the ear and the shoulder, long necks. Okay, try not to hunch down. Do good, better, well done. Okay, now guys, from here we're going to lift our top leg if we can, and we're going to now join in with the arm in arc. Yes, okay, so as your leg comes down, the arm is to the sky. And as you lift, you're creating this gorgeous upper limb line between your fingers and your toes. Well done. And reach from the 2, breathing in. Exhale, reach from fingers to toes. And last one, breathe in. Exhale, reach. And as before, we're coming into javelin. You can leave your leg up if you want to for an isometric hold, firing up that top glute outside of the hip there, or you can pop the leg down, and we're threading the needle, so you can choose. As I show you down, we're going to be sending the hand underneath you with a rib rotation. Breathe in, grow nice and tall, or with leg elevated and under, and reach, just looking over that shoulder, that lower shoulder towards the floor, or the back of you if you can get that mobility. We've got 2 more. Breathing in, grow long through the spine. Continue to hold that nice lengthened spine as you do our final one. And down. Wonderful. And pause here. If your leg isn't down, go ahead and lower it now. Indeed, the bottom comes down onto the mat, and we have our final piece of bridge. Okay, I'm going to swivel around one more time so it makes a little bit more sense. We're going to lie down here. Final piece of bridge. Okay, so we're going to do, as we've talked about the last couple of sessions, last week and this week, a slightly higher level piece. If you have any back issues or you're not comfortable in your lower back this morning, I want you to maintain your arm down position. Okay, so let's go and find ourselves into bridge, all of us with the arms down to begin with. So peeling up or hinging into your bridge where you are comfortable. Okay, so for our next position, you can either have your hands down, or we're looking to place the heel of the hand underneath the lower part of your hips. Okay, so if you have any problem in extension with the lower back, this is not for you. Okay, however, if you can, go ahead and see if you can lift the pelvis slightly higher, and you can support the back of the pelvis, the bony part either side of the spine there, with the heels of the hands. Fingers and thumbs are wrapped around the outside, okay, almost like you've created 2 little shelves for the pelvis there. If your hands are down, go ahead and just step into those hands, really find that reach into the hands, and you're going to lift your right leg into marching position. Okay, all of us extending the right leg to the sky. And now we're going to flex the foot so you're high-fiving the sky. We're going to pull down with the heel and come back up in point. We're going to come down with the heel in dorsiflexion, up in point. Down with the heel, pulling down, up in point. Last time, down with the heel, up in point. Pausing in point to the sky. We're now going to lower in point and come back in your flexion. High five the sky, point down and flex up. Long legs, point down and flex up. Fantastic. Place that foot back down. Modify if you need to. If it's not comfortable, go ahead and place those hands back down. Or we're going to take ourselves onto the other side. Left leg comes into tabletop and extend. Flexion at the ankles, so you're standing on the ceiling. Tummy's in, next long, down we go. Pull that heel and up into point. Down with flexion and up in extension. Down we go. and up. And this is our last time, pulling down with the heel. Get that back of the leg stretching to the sky and point nice and long with that leg, sorry, not your lips, the leg. And now down in point, reach for the hip flexor and up in flexion, down in point, up in flexion. 2 more, really long, let that hip open, final one. And if you have, so beg your pardon, put your feet down, let's not jump the gun. If you have your hands underneath the pelvis, step into those feet nice and solid, strong through the tummy and core, then release your arms back down. And then for everybody, let the sinking down commence of the spine, one vertebrae pressing down like stair rods, like raindrops, like piano keys, whatever works for you. Down, down, down we go, vertebrae by vertebrae, peeling onto the mat. Gently go ahead, draw your knees towards your chest. A deep pull at the moment and a gentle rock from side to side. Well done. Really lovely, serious, good work. Okay, so folks, we're going to place those feet back down. And for the moment, just pop your hands by your sides. I want you to just have a little moment. We're just going to go back to a little bit less to do with movement and to do with technicalities. I want you to think about where your pubic bone is currently right now, right at the base of the pelvis. And then above it here on either side, we have our lovely hip bones. Okay, and this is our little triangle we've talked about before at the front of the pelvis. What I want you to do is go ahead and make this lovely triangle finger and thumb position. Yeah, so your thumb's the base of the triangle and your 2 pointy fingers are your first at the top of the triangle. The fingers are going to rest on the pubic bone and the heels of the hands are going to rest on your hip bones, okay? And I want you to just pelvic tilt for me there. Just gently pelvic tilt. So we've mobilized beautifully already with our bridge work, okay? So we know our full range of tilt is available to us. I want you now to make sure that you come to a point where you settle, where your fingers and your hips are in parallel to the floor, okay? So you've not got your pubic bone higher and you've not got your hips higher, but they are nice and neutral. Okay, I love to think of the triangle when you're setting up a snooker table, that triangle, let's place that on those hips and it's going to stay there perfectly still. Okay, now the reality is that lovely pubic bone should now be, imagining a piece of string attached there, should now travel through the belly button and kind of come to settle right at the base of your lowest floating rib cage area here at the base of the ribs. This is a nice flat level off the floor by about maybe 20 centimeters, something like that, and it runs this way. Visualize that level, please, for me. If you're looking at yourselves from the side, I want you to imagine that staying really nice and still. We are going to work an abdominal curl, and you're probably going to be very tempted to push that lower back into the mat. To avoid this, I want you to imagine you've got a little tiny Malteser and it's just below the back, the lower spine and the mat. Keep that Malteser there, okay? Arms come to the sky, palms facing the knees. Still with that maintained position, that string from your pubic bone to the ribs, we're going to keep the Malteser perfectly intact as we breathe in. Exhale, tuck your chin into your throat space and lift into abdominal curl. You will not get a very high curl, okay, because you're training that lower back to stay in its neutral position, okay? Come back onto the mat where you breathe in. Exhale as you lift, chin comes into your chest, looking towards the kneecaps. Pull that lovely pelvic floor in and just check. You can see that lovely flat level you've got here, especially where that snooker triangle is on the pelvis. We've got 2 more. Breathing in, exhale, pulling the string from the pubic bone to the rib cage, making sure it's nice and attached. There's no sinking down to the floor. There's no drooping like a skipping rope. And last one, lift, maintaining that lovely, lovely level. Your Malteser is perfectly intact. There's no squashed Malteser incident happening on pause there. Great stuff. Okay, I'd like you to put your right hand behind the back of the head now. Turn your palm of the left hand into the middle of your body or mat. And we're going to work on a cross body position. Still perfectly neutral. The Maltesers sat there quite happy and calm. Breathe in. Now we're going to send our left hand now across to our right knee, maintaining that space in the lower back, okay? And then come back to center, where your fingers are to the ceiling, shoulder blades down on the mat, breathing in. Right elbow stays out the way all together. Just lift and send the left hand to the right knee and come back to center. If I was with you now, I would be looking at that marble, checking that it's not been squished. I could see underneath probably that little bit of space, that nice little bit of air and daylight, because you're pulling in the pelvic floor, you're pulling that lovely pubic bone to rib cage string together, means you're getting a nice controlled safe back as you lift across. And you're feeling your right side obliques, your right waist, pulling in, shortening, slightly twisting, certainly engaging the internal external obliques as we pause here and we take it to the other side. So let's put the left hand behind the back of the head, right hand to the sky, palm facing in. Check you're still in neutral. There's a nice space. We're still parallel to the floor, and our Maltese is perfectly intact. Breathing in. Let's go ahead now, keep the left elbow out the way, and the right hand is now going to head across towards your left knee, coming back to center. Okay, so you carry on here, guys. You've got 7 more. You'll notice perhaps in this neutral position, maybe, just maybe, you've got more control on those hip bones on the left and right. Maybe, just maybe, they're not rocking and rolling perhaps as much as when you have yourself an imprint. Okay, so you're creating a little bit more pelvic stability, and you're working in isolation on this left oblique, your left waist. Okay, so it's another way of really kind of control and drill down into the nitty gritty of a move. We've got our last one here, mate. It's a real goodie. Breathe in, exhale, send that right hand to your left knee, left elbow out the way, pelvis flat, and then bring yourself back into neutral. Well done. Bring both hands to the sky now. Check your shoulder blades are slightly relaxed. And we're going to remain in our neutral position, but your right leg is going to come into tabletop. So left foot stays down. Breathe in, right leg come into tabletop, please. Okay, so from here, I would like you now to send your right leg away to a hover, but you're still in neutral. Left arm comes away. Now imagine that line. You've got a gorgeous line. Your hand roughly 20 centimeters or shoulder height off the floor. Your back is perfectly lovely and controlled. Maltese are intact. Right leg reaching also roughly 20 centimeters or in line with your hip off the floor. Bring everything back to the start position and repeat on the same side. Exhale. We're going to do 8. So this is number 7. Reach, 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 and back in. Breathing in. So calm in the pelvis, so calm in the lower back. Breath in when your hand is to the sky. Exhale, send away. Pull in that tummy button and the pelvic floor. Last 2. And final 1. And then bring your hands back to the ceiling and foot on the floor, breathing in. And it's your left leg now that's going to send away to hip height, arm over, right arm over to roughly shoulder height. And again, visualize that gorgeous line, everything about 20 centimeters, foot, knee, hip, pubic bone, belly button, rib cage, shoulder, elbow, hand. Breathing in, come back into your start position, breath in. Exhale, send away. And reach, 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 but control with the tummy and pelvic floors back to the ceiling, and foot just hovers. Breathe in, exhale. We've got 6 more. As you extend the arm and leg, really think of that belly pulling in, that lovely pelvic floor pulling in, but not on the marble, the Malteser, not on the Malteser. It's still perfectly gorgeously intact and safe. Slight little lift of that lower back from the floor still. Don't forget that, it's critical. And our final one, breath in, exhale, send away. Well done. And back, back, back into neutral. Well done. Place those legs back down. Draw your knees into your chest. Super duper. Wonderful. Just a gentle rock from side to side. Okay, place the feet back down. I want you to now go ahead and take your left leg and just cross it over your right leg, okay? As if you're just sat in the chair, just comfortably having a coffee, that left leg crosses over the right. Okay, so from here, I'm now going to ask you to pop your hands into a slightly more wide position. It might be a T or a Y position, just wider than the mat. And I'm going to go ahead and ask you to just let the legs now drop together in unison, the two guys together over to the right. So gently over to the right, over they go, and pause here. If this is too deep for you, you can gently release yourself out of this and you can just allow two knees side by side to just head over together. Okay, it's totally up to you. The crossing the leg is just slightly more intense. So just pause. And again, as I said right at the outset, just let the breath happen. The breath allows us to find space and support in the spine. It will allow us to get a little bit more deep into this stretch. Yeah, so breathing in, exhale. And only when you've taken your next breath in can you exhale, bring in the tummy, the floors, and draw your legs to center. And we're going to go ahead and switch sides. So cross your right leg over your left leg. Okay, so far so good. Nice and central, arms slightly wide, breathe in. And now the legs head over towards the left. Nice and slow, tentatively, gingerly, feeling how this stretch is stretching the right side of your body. Okay. Quite a deep stretch again. If it doesn't feel very comfortable, please go ahead and bring yourself back in with an exhale. Place both knees by each other and do your standard knee by knee stretch to the side. Yeah, okay. We've done some nice deep work in that lower back. We've done some lovely work with the bridge. Okay, so that we work in our diagonal slings. This is a perfect not an unpick, but a counter pose. Okay, and gently then breathe in. As you exhale, bring those knees back together with the core strong and support it. Well done. Placing the feet back down the mat. Okay, so we're going to roll onto our tummies, guys. So over we go. Onto tummies, and arms are out towards the front. Now we're going to be in what we call a Superman position, which is kind of just a general term. Our arms are basically above us and our forehead is down. Legs are reasonably wide, okay, so not massively beyond the mat, but perhaps wider than shoulder width. If you struggle with these arms too close to the shoulder, your shoulder width, you're welcome to have them slightly wider in V. Yeah, so at the corners of the mat. Again, any major shoulder issues, please go ahead and work this in goalpost. Okay, so your elbows are just down by your sides. Totally fine, totally fine. But we're just adding on this modification for this moment. Arms are in front and head is down. Okay, so just thinking of what you've just practiced and learnt with your lovely neutral spine. Again, try not to let that bottom just the gravity pull the belly down and then you're sinking, so your hips are planted forwards and your hips will be higher than the pubic bone. If we were flipped over, try and think of that belly being in. Try and think of that pubic bone being kind of an equal press on the mat as your hip bones. That's where we're heading with this lovely imaginary snooker cue still there, creating them nice and level in underneath you now. And pull in the pull in the belly button, pull in the pelvic floor, and we have our same level of control in the pelvis. Now with your next exhale, we're just going to simply lift our left arm off the mat, hand, elbow coming off the mat and back down. Breathing in, exhale, tummy in and switch. Single arm lift and lower. And lifting and lowering. Again, modify if you started and you think, actually, no, this is uncomfortable. Moving the arm out to the side or goalpost is fine. Yeah, as I'm showing you now, switching from side to side. Well done. And pause there. Okay, so folks, this time we're going to now add in the forehead lift. As you lift one arm, the forehead is going to float. You'll feel the chest start to elevate off the mat slightly, but the press is into the opposite hand. And then you come back down onto the mat, breathing in. Let's lift the left arm or your opposite arm, forehead float, looking down towards the mat. Slight lift of the chest and the shoulder girdle, and then back down to the mat. You may need to find the opposite hip and leg feels a little bit more in tension and press onto the mat to keep a counterbalance working here and the pelvis stable. And switch and lift one arm and forehead float. And down, arms long if you can. Or we can work with our arms in goalpost or at V. This is still possible with your single arms, lifting and lowering. Okay, final time. And come back down, gorgeous, and pause there. Okay, so from here we're going to add and work into a little bit more extension. So our hands come towards the front of us, palms one on top of, or sorry, hands one on top of the other, palms down. Forehead is on that top hand. And this time, definitely make sure your legs are out and they're kind of parked in the corners of the mat there. Yeah, so find that wide leg position. Now, please go ahead and forehead float for me. So your tummy is in, you've got that lovely neutral, equal press on the pubic bone and the hip bones, and forehead float. When you're in this forehead float position, I would like you now to elbow lift. Okay, the hands are still down. Pull the shoulder blades back and down. Really feel like you're almost drawing two little arcs either side with those elbows. There'll be quite a lot of movement there. And grow a little bit longer through the crown of the head. And place everything back down on the mat and relax. Breathing in. Exhale, forehead float. And elbow lift. Breathe in, pull down the shoulder blades and start to feel length from the crown of the head, maybe a sense of pulling through the abdominals, pulling through away from your hip bones, and then relax down onto the mat, everything reset. Next time we're going to hold up. Breathe in, exhale, tummy in, forehead float, elbows lift, pull back the shoulder blades, lifting and stretching through the whole of the spine. We're now going to lift our gaze. And if you're feeling you're able to, you might want to just pause here. We can also press into our hands and start to lift our body slightly higher off the mat, slightly lengthening and straightening the arms. I don't want to see this where your shoulders are really pulling up towards your ears and your elbows are forward. You need to pull those elbows down, back and out the way, and still pulling forward with the rib cage, like the belly button is trying to pull forwards and away towards the front edge of the mat. And then sink down, vertebrae by vertebrae, releasing the elbows, come back down. You're then down, parallel to the mat with the forehead. And we're going to do that 3 more times. Breathing in. Exhale, and tummy in, forehead float. Lift of the elbows, shoulder blades set down. Lifting the gaze, up we come into our lovely arm, lengthening if it's available to you. Pull the pubic bone, the belly button forwards and grow through the crown of the head. Legs are long and not too tense, please. Releasing back down, vertebrae by vertebrae, like a reverse bridge, releasing down one vertebrae at a time, and forehead settles on your hands. Breathing in, exhale, lift. Elbow lift, shoulder blades down. Lengthen the spine as you lift the gaze, and a slight lift into an elevated position if you can. If you're not feeling that here, then go ahead straight away. And with the elbow lift, you can still allow yourself to come back down, peeling down, 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 and onto the mat. So choose wisely. Be able to head up and hold. So this time into your tummy in, forehead float. Lifting the elbows, pull back the shoulder blades, and a slight lift of the gaze. This is level 1. You might be happy to pause here. You might feel like you can head up into your slightly higher level and pause here. Everybody, now we're going to just turn our hands slightly towards the mat, so the end of the mat, so they're separated. And I'd like you now to tummy in, pelvic floor in, control through the core. Lift your left hand and straighten your arm to the front edge of the mat. Place the hand back down, breathe in. Tummy in, core strong. Relax the gluteal muscles. Okay, don't squeeze the buttocks. Pull in with the pelvic floors instead, like you're narrowing and pulling in underneath that groin area. As we switch from side to side, you exhale as you elevate the arm. Blow the air out and forwards as the arm reaches. One more time either side. And last one. Swing the hands slightly towards each other, and then again, start your gentle release down, vertebrae by vertebrae, elbows down, relaxing down with the chin, nose, and head coming onto the hands last, and pause. Okay, we have one add-on. The add-on will be an arm circle up in back extension, so it will look like this. Okay, we are also going to add a slight gaze over the shoulder. Now, if your back is starting to feel a bit niggly, I would like to recommend that perhaps you head down into your Superman position, and you maybe think about just working on your single forehead and arm lift, and then looking over the shoulder. Okay, so this arm is still really nice and planted down. If you think that's even too much, you're more than welcome to just work on a single arm. No neck rotation particularly. Okay, just letting it just gently, slightly lift and move with your shoulder girdle, and work on your single arms as so. All right, so when you're ready, choose your levels, breathing in. Exhale, belly in for all of us. If you're in Superman, then you can go ahead and lift your head and one arm. For everyone else, your forehead lifting, shoulder blades back, find that space, elbows lifting, and up we go into back extension, or even just elbows elevated, turning the hands forwards. Well done. Let's go with the single arm up and over. Lift up and over, a gaze coming with you over your shoulder. Lift up and back, breathing in. Exhale, switching sides. Looking over the shoulder, length through the legs, tummy is in, but the glutes are relaxed. We've got two more either side. Breathe in when our hands are to center. Grow through the spine and exhale. And this is our last one. If you do wish to bring yourself back down, please take this chance just to enjoy a nice slow return back down to the mat and rest. Otherwise, this is our last one for our arm circles. And whatever level you're at now, bring yourself back to center and swapping those hands or switching them back to center. Still long through the spine, elbows down, shoulders clear from the ears as you set your vertebrae down on the mat, one at a time, and your chin, nose, and forehead coming down last. Wonderful, great stuff. Okay, bring those legs together for me. Okay, so they're closer together, and just pop your hands wherever is comfortable for you. Okay, so the shoulders can be relaxed a little bit more towards the ears. I don't mind. Okay, that is fine, because we're going to just maybe switch off this upper body for a moment, think a little bit more about our lower limbs. Okay, so our legs are in parallel, roughly hip width apart, and I'd like you to go ahead now and just bend your left leg at the knee and flex at the ankle. So you're high-fiving the ceiling. Okay, so you've got a flex at the ankle at 90 degrees and a bend at the knee at 90 degrees. The knees are not necessarily together. Yeah, so if you were standing, imagine you've got a little satsuma or a fist of your hand would be the space between your knees there, guys. Okay. I do, however, want you to find your core, and I want you to think about that slight gentle press of the hip bones and the pubic bone with equal pressure on the mat. Yeah, so what I don't want you to do is dump down and push into one or the other. Feel like that triangle has even pressure on the points of the triangle. From here, you're going to breathe in, exhale, and just gently see if you can lift that thigh bone off the mat by the smallest amount and place it back down. Breathe in, exhale, and just a simple lift of the knee, and the thigh bone will come with you, and place it back down. Now, this will be a tiny, tiny move, I presume. Okay, you're thinking of really pulling that belly button in. You're just gently lifting the knee. Now, you might not actually get any lift at all, which is fine, but I want you to just feel the sense of those muscles starting to lift, starting to feel the outside edge of your hamstrings and glutes just slightly activating as you get the intent to lift, the intent for that sole of the foot to slightly go higher up in space towards the ceiling. And our last time, and pause with the leg down. Okay, check your hips are still equal pressure left to right, and let the foot ankle relax. Yes, there's no point and no flex, just relax. Now we're going to think of our left and right. I'd like you to allow your foot to just travel to the right side and let that right leg or lower limb just go wherever it can. It won't go that far. And then head over towards the left. and towards the right and towards the left. So we're getting a small amount of internal, external rotation of the thigh. So imagine your thigh bone now in this hip socket. Okay, it's having a little bit of a rock to the side, but also your knee joints having a little moment as well, led by your lower limb. Fibula just having a little moment just to ease themselves to left and right in that knee joint as well. And then come back to center. You're still with your knee bent and your foot towards the sky. You're still belly in, equal pressure on your lovely snooker triangle there of the pelvis and hips. And we're going to circle this leg with the foot now. Imagine the foot circling the top of on the sky, on the ceiling, and the knee is your lower point, your pivot, your little axis there at the base. So just circling the foot, drawing a circle on the ceiling. It may be a bit clunky, it may not be the world's most circle, but don't worry. Working the opposite direction when you're ready, circling around, just small, not overzealous. There should not be rolling, twisting of the hips. There should not be any rotation or spinning of the spine. Just let this lower limb and slightly the thigh move around in circles. Come back to center, place that leg back down. Okay, right leg bending at the knee. Again, check your knee, roughly an orange between the two. Flexing at the foot, so your heel is towards the sky, toes are pulling towards your kneecaps. Breathing in, belly in, a slight push onto the hips and pelvis, so you're nicely connected. Breathe in, exhale, and lift that right leg if you can off the mat and down. Breathing in, exhale, pull in the pelvic floor and tummy. And that will also probably help a little bit if there's any cramping, feeling like it's sneaking on in. You perhaps might want to have the legs slightly further away, for your heels slightly further away from your bottom. If you're really getting into cramp mischief, maybe don't pull that heel in so far. Okay. Attempting to high five the ceiling or sky if you can. If, as I say before, you can't lift the thigh bone, don't worry. Just get the sense of thinking about it. Fire up the glutes, fire up the hamstring. If you could, you would, and then relax. Those muscles have done a fair job of contracting without the lift. Exhale. Last two as you lift and exhale. And our final one. High five the sky and pausing there. Okay, relax at the ankle a bit there. Okay, give it a wiggle and a jiggle if needs be. We're now thinking of our left and right, or our east and west if you like. Let's start across the midline by letting the foot head over towards the left and a slight external rotation of the hip there, or the thigh bone. And now let the leg over towards the outside of you. No pressing or pushing particularly, just letting it find its end of range, its natural end of range as you head from side to side. Okay, so this should feel like it's not the world's biggest move that you can do. I'm sure heading across the midline of your body is a lot easier than externally heading out away from the body. Alrighty, so just noticing, being aware how this hip feels as you head one more time across the body to the left and then out towards the right, just gently aware of end of range, and then come back to center. So we know our points on the left and right. We're now going to circle with the foot, knee. Just check it hasn't meandered and widened out. They can do a little bit. So you're still an orange or a fist between your knees. And let's head across into our circles, over the midline and out to the side and down slightly towards the heels and end of the mat. So drawing a circle with this foot on the ceiling. Okay. A little bit of a movement through the knee joint. Maybe a slight response and movement through the hips as we let the leg come out. Immediately return to the middle. Reversing direction when you're ready, guys. Just a gentle switch in direction. And that's 4 more. And 3. And 2. And last one. Gorgeous. Well done. Place that foot back down. Okay, so we're going to tuck our toes under, place our hands by our shoulders, bring your belly in, neck is long, lift up and over into 4-point kneeling. Okay, we're going to go straight on into a 4-point kneeling piece. You can do this piece with your arms down if your wrists are uncomfortable or you don't like 4-point kneeling. And I would like you to just find that lovely neutral we had at the beginning. No squash and squeeze or opening of the shoulder blades, find halfway. No tuck or push away of the tailbone, just neutral halfway. Taking your left leg away behind you, go ahead and toenails are down so your hips haven't lifted. Yes, hips are facing down towards the mat. Let's take that left leg now, or your external leg that you've got extended out to the back corner of the mat. Yes, we've nicely warmed up these glutes. We're going to do a nice super big rainbow hop without arching the back. Okay, don't find that loss of control. Lift with the gluteals and touch to the opposite corner of the mat. Breathing in, exhale, and to the corner of the mat. Yeah, so breathe in, up, and to the corner cross behind you. Now, whilst this is doing its thing behind you, keep really still through the upper body. Shoulder blades are back and down. Belly is in. Arms are straight, please. Sometimes we end up bending the elbows and then we start to get a bit of a twist because you want to get further. We don't want to get further by asking our spine and ribs and shoulders to get involved. We want this lovely hip to work, this thigh bone to work, these glutes to work, and the tummy to stabilize. Last one, and then gently come back to center. Pause with the leg extended, please, for me. I'd like you now to make sure those hips are still facing the floor. This bottom isn't lifted on the extended leg side, so perhaps sink it slightly down, a bit more energy in the hip towards the mat. Right arm or your opposite arm, if you're not following my rights and left, will come out towards the front of you and lift up to shoulder height. Okay, so we're going to take this arm and leg out to a 45-degree angle, opposite angles if you're drawing from the corners of the room through these arms, through the shoulders, out towards the other leg on the other side. Come back to center and just touch to the floor. If this is all getting a little bit too much, you're more than welcome to slide the leg and arm out and back in. That is absolutely fine. You're still working on your diagonals and your balance. Otherwise, lift your arm to shoulder height and out to diagonal. Come back to center and touch down. Touch down is important. Straight arm, leg and lift, arm lift, and out to the side to diagonal. Come back to center, touch down with the breath in. Exhale, lift, out to the diagonal, in parallel, and down. Last time, and lift, out to diagonal, back to center, and down. Place the hands back underneath you and knees. Change, of course. I should have said, I beg your pardon, when I went into your swimming, you should have come off the triangles. If you were on triangles, then you will have to, anyway, you can now be back in triangles if you want. If you want to for the rainbow hop, we can be in triangles. Apologize for that lack of change. Right, we're going to take our right leg away now, toenails are down. Again, neutral through your torso, lifting your right leg up to bottom height and out towards that lovely the corner of the mat where we breathe in, exhale, lift, rainbow hop, and touch the other corner. Breathe in, get that height, and across. So you'll notice perhaps when you were lying down with our knee bent and we were trying to lift the thigh bone, it was kind of tricky, but maybe now you can get a little bit more access into that gluteal area. But the good news is, whether you did or didn't lift, you had fired it up. You'd already asked it to start working, start contracting. You'd sent the message there. You'd sent all the necessary messages from the brain to the fibers to start working. So now we can use them a little bit more effectively. Up and over, no twisting through the torso, isolating the glutes, isolating that lovely hip joint. Shoulder blades back and down, tummies in, just in case we're sinking a little bit into that lower back. Last one either side. And then come back into your center position. So you're in parallel, leg in parallel, and your hip is still down on that side. The right leg, if you're with me, right, left, right hip pointing down. If you are in triangles now, you need to come up onto your hands. Okay, guys, so up onto your hands, sorry, onto your arms, nice and straight, taking your opposite arm or your left arm forwards, and just up to shoulder height where we pause, and check your tummy's nice and long, core nice and strong, and out to 45 degrees on that diagonal. Come back to center with a straight arm and leg touch down with a breath in. Exhale, lift, and then out to diagonal and into the center and down. Of course, using that same option of sliding on the floor if you want to, from a 45 degree and back to parallel. Just continuing to breathe in when you're center, exhale when you're out. We've got 2 more. Gorgeous. And our final one. Well done. Well done, well done, well done. Placing your hand and knee underneath you and gently press into the heels and push back into a gentle child's pose. Okay. Walking your hands back towards your knees. Swing your legs around to the front of the mat, or if you want to sit along the mat, I don't mind. It's absolutely fine. We're going to take ourselves into gentle lateral flexion. Legs just out in front of you for comfort for the moment. And I'd just like you to bring yourself over towards your left. We're going to just allow the elbow to head down to the mat. If the right hip lifts, that's fine. Don't worry too much, and over into lateral flexion. Once you're there, just press a little bit into that right hip. If it's trying to push slightly down to the floor, then we'll sweep our right arm up and over. Allow that right elbow to head down to the mat, lifting the left arm up and over, and reach for lateral flexion here. So this, of course, for the savvy of you, though, to remember, it's just a modified mermaid. Okay, so you're getting that nice lateral flexion. That sense of the opposite hip. Right now, your right hip pressing down, just to get that full stretch down the side of the body, and pausing there. Well done, gorgeous. Come back into center. We're going to widen the legs slightly. Okay, so we're going to just have our hands towards the front of us, between the knees, and gently lifting the toes towards the sky if you can. If you need to hop onto a block or a cushion, go ahead. Okay, we're just going to do a small amount of flexion forwards just to stretch into that spine. All right, so fingers are tips are forward, grow nice and tall. Squeezing the hip bones nice and close in this area here, so it's almost your sit bones or hips are slightly narrowing. Grow nice and tall, chin comes into your throat space, belly is in, and we're just going to walk these fingertips forwards and just feel that stretch in the lumbar spine. Okay, nothing too deep to begin with. Let's just allow it just to have a stretch, and then walk the fingertips back and sit up nice and tall. Breathing in, exhale, peeling down, walking the fingertips forwards, and then peeling yourself back up. Continue there one more time, and walking forwards and back up. Okay, so we're going to add one little thing into this. There'll be a nice lengthening of the spine. If you are struggling, as I say, you're more than welcome to bend the knees slightly or pop onto a block. Let's go ahead and forwards we go. Growing nice and tall, chin into your throat space, belly in, and forwards we go towards your feet or your toes. Pausing here, I would like you to then think of lifting your arms to shoulder height, both of them coming up and off the mat to shoulder or forehead height. Now lift your gaze and allow your chest space, your heart space to push forwards between your feet. So you're heading into your flat back stretch. Reach with those fingertips, reach up skyward and lengthen the spine, lowering the fingertips and gaze now towards the mat. Peel yourself back out of this and restack your spine into sitting. 2 more times, peeling down and walking the fingertips forwards into your maximum range. Pause here, breathe in, lifting your arms. We exhale and look forwards, lift into your flat back, press into the back of the thighs, pull the toes towards your kneecaps if you can, and then gently let your gaze sink back down. Any of this is too much, just please take whatever level you want, or just do one more spine stretch forward. No lift into flat back, okay? Gently walking down, 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 down. Breathe in, exhale into your flat back. Again, gently pressing into the back of the thighs, toes lifted, and then gently releasing back down. Down, down, well done. Okay, bring your legs together. Swing those legs or sweep the legs underneath you. We're going to push ourselves into a small ball and bring ourselves into standing. So just gently over onto the toes. Those lovely toes are right at the outset, nice and mobile, hopefully bellies in, looking towards your chest space, press the heels down. And then with soft knees, we're going to roll up. So no rush. Pause here for a minute. We're going to take a breath in. Exhale, use your legs to just ladder yourself back up if you need to. Okay, well done. Right stuff. I'm going to just get you to just stay in the middle of your mat, facing the short edge of the mat for a moment. Take your left leg back, just a small little stride back, and bend the left leg. So, or bend both knees. Okay, so you've got your heels on the mat. Take your left arm up towards the ceiling and just start to lift your gaze ever so slightly. We're finding we'll have a stretch now across the front of your hip flexor, the front of the thighs, and then gently bring yourself back to center, taking the right leg back. Heels are down, both knees are soft if you can. Right arm towards the ceiling. Lift the gaze slightly, gently into slight back extension. Feel perhaps the stretch of the hip flexor. If you actually end up straight in your back leg, you'll feel more of a stretch as well through the calf muscle too. That's totally up to you with your comfort. And then releasing your arm back down and bring yourself back to center. Wonderful. Bend the knees nice and soft for the moment. I want you to just take your hands across the chest. We're going to sink down into a small ball. Open the arms up to the ceiling and breathe in. Exhale, switch around the opposite way. Let the arms come down by your sides and down towards the floor. Let's go again. Open the arms up towards the ceiling and breathe in and exhale down to the floor. One more time, breathing in, up towards the ceiling and exhale down. And then gently bring yourselves into standing. Well done. Breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let your hands just rest by your sides. Let your feet feel nice and secure. Take your thoughts towards your toes, the balls of the feet, the heels. Perfectly balanced, super secure on the floor there. Breathe in and grow tall. Lift from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head as you inhale. Broaden through the rib cage. And as you exhale, just zip and hollow, finding that deep center, that deep core under the pelvis and in through your belly button. Breathing in. Exhale, zip and hollow. One more final breath in. Exhale. Open your eyes. And we are done. Well done. Well done, well done. Thank you, everybody. Lots to fit in this week, so I hope everyone enjoyed that session. As I say, it's the end of our 6-week term. We're going to have 1 week off, so for February half-term break, and then we'll be back. I'll be messaging you all with information about timings and how to pay, etc., and class pass options. If it's a recording, then you can ignore that, and I'll just see you when I see you next. Hope you enjoyed that session. Take care for now. Bye-bye.